Question number 5, our last question for the night. Do you support the Mount Airy redevelopment draft plan? If not, what are your goals for the future of this former Spencer's property and proposed redevelopment area? Please explain. We'll start with David Rowe.
I do support the majority of the plan. I think it's a great concept. I think, but we need to be sure that it's a concept that can be supported by all the citizens, including those landowners whose property might be affected. While I would like to give the plan unequivocal support, I do feel the need to know how we got to where we are and to see the plans of the potential developers and see what demands they might make. Having said this, I do think it's important that we move forward with what we have. I think we need to move with deliberance in order to get it right, but I think we need to move forward without delay. The longer it takes, the more it's probably going to cost, and the more likely we are to get sidetracked on issues that aren't relevant to what we're trying to do. I think we need to be wise about our planning, but not assume that everyone has an agenda. I think we need to trust the people who are trying to put this together. I believe in the integrity of the people. I believe that they are trying to do the right thing, the best thing for the city. And I would like to see others involved in that process to be sure we're all on board. All of us want the best for Mount Airy.
Thank you. Next we have Steve Yoakley.
Since this is the last question, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the Mount Airy Professionals of Surrey, Mount Airy Downtown, and the Mount Airy Chamber of Commerce for sponsoring this event tonight, and also for everyone, the millennials and everyone else that is here tonight that's interested in the future of Mount Airy. Also, I'd like to thank my biggest supporter, my wife Ann. She has been a tremendous asset to me, and I thank her very much. But to answer the question, I would like to say that I absolutely support the Mount Airy redevelopment plan draft. It needs to be emphasized, though, that it is still just a draft. It is my hope, though, that all property owners and all interested parties will work together to modify and improve the plan before it becomes the final document, which will be presented to the city commissioners. We already have a lot of community input into what this area should become. We need to encourage more community ideas and involvement so that this area can be the best that it can be. This redevelopment process should and must have only winners. There should be no losers.
Thank you. Next we have Jim Armbrister.
I do support portions of the plan, while other portions are a little bit more difficult to accept, basically due to timing and how the plan is to be executed. I feel it should not involve private citizens who own land or buildings that choose not to be involved. And this is a living document. As you said, it was a draft, and it can be progressed not to include those private citizens areas. Thus, we'd be able to protect those private citizens. And it also leaves private enterprise to flourish as these owners of those lands and buildings can decide for themselves. As far as millennials, we've got an opportunity to develop a portion for being a maker site, plus look at other areas in the city. Those excite me quite a bit. Millennials, you know, you get to liking each other, next thing you know, somebody's got a baby. So these communities, there's a need for quality daycare. It progressively would be near your employment sites with your residential and all in close proximity and affordable. We've got to have quality base, such as maintaining that low tax rate, have affordable housing for you, quality medical centers, and quality family support businesses, such as insurance. And don't forget the areas and opportunities for child growth, entertainment, and educational field opportunities. I hope to see some type of medical provider, such as Novant, to take a part in one or more of redevelopment opportunities in our city. All this would help enhance, particularly our service businesses, the density of the pedestrian traffic in that area, which would greatly support any entrepreneurial or co-ops that may be created within that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Gene Clark.
I think I've made it clear I support development, or the redevelopment on the Spencer's property. I currently don't support the draft plan. So based on what the commissioners had really originally said from the beginning, the focus was to be on the city-owned properties. As the process progressed, it has expanded into including private property. According to the John Locke Foundation, the North Carolina Urban Development Law is a major threat to private property rights in North Carolina. Additionally, many of our citizens voiced concerns with forming a non-elected commission to make decisions that could affect private property owners. The North Carolina Urban Development Law does, however, allow for the commissioners to assume this responsibility. The statute for the RDC is formed under, the statute that the RDC is formed under makes provisions for disbanding within a 90-day window. I would recommend this move and reorganize the RDC with the city commissioners as members with a new advisory commission, but leave all the legal and decision-making authority under the control of the elected officials, not the appointed ones. If it addresses only city property, I don't have an issue with an appointed board. When it gets into personal property or private property, I do think that since we have elected officials, they should be the ones making those determinations, because we have an opportunity to elect those people. We don't have an opportunity to elect an appointed person. So I want to make that clear. If it's city property, I don't have any problem with an appointed board. But when it comes to personal property or private property, that needs to be done by an elected official.
Thank you. Next, we have Gail Prophet-Kernoodle.
Okay, I support the Spencer's part. I believe that if it's just decided and told and explained what is going to go on, what it should be or could be, would be better for the people. Truthful, I believe in the main part where Spencer's is, the big, large building, I think that'd be awesome. Convention center, a parking garage, a park that is a play park, just a simple park, not anything extravagant. You're talking about vibrancy. I mean, that would be so wonderful. People, like myself, want to know what's going on. Just, tell us what it is. And the convention center would be awesome. I mean, all these things that we've said here could happen with this center. And, Hall of Fame part, a commissioner history part, there's just, the ideas are endless. And I believe it's a good thing. I think the parking garage would stress and eliminate the parking problems on Main Street. A moped, a cycle, bicycles. I support the bicycles, icons, all over the, maybe sprays painted. I mean, there's so many ideas. And it takes money in the budget and all, how much we're gonna get here and we're gonna get there to spend. I believe that, if we just volunteer, there's so many things that we could do. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, we have Jerry Taylor.
Okay, I guess since this is the last question, it's probably no secret that I do support the West Side Redevelopment Project as recommended by the Redevelopment Commission. Right now, the Spencer's property is an open canvas. Millennials, your generation, the most diverse, well-educated generation in history. You value community, family, you're creative, you work and you play. The first generation to be shaped mostly by technology. You are and can be an economic and political force. I urge you to organize and to vote. Get your friends and family to vote. Come to the political meetings and speak at the public forum. You can have a voice in what sort of development takes place in Mount Airy. And you have the power to help drive this project, and I hope you do. Thanks.
Thank you. Next, we have N.A. Barnes.
I also support the redevelopment draft plan. I think a key word to the redevelopment plan is it is in the draft stage. It certainly has been controversial, but I think it's time that we quit badgering and we look at the good, the bad, the indifferent, and get on with the show. There are plenty of opportunities of what we can do with the Spencer property. There's opportunities for additional living space, areas for business to expand and move in. We could possibly have a hotel. There are many, many opportunities with that property. And I think we need to come together as the leaders of this city and determine what it is we want and move on. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Dean Brown.
I am excited about the Spencer's property redevelopment. I think it will change the entire profile of downtown. Market Street, Oak Street, Willow Street, Franklin Street for development and new small businesses. I think it will create new ideas for businesses that the younger generations will embrace. I think Spencer's development will draw more to the downtown area at night, on weekends. I support the development of the Spencer's property. I need more research, though, with the total redevelopment plan. I would like to see the Cootsy's building torn down, and again, I need more information. I favor roundabouts, such as they're talking about, but if they take people's personal property, I need more research. America's founders understood clearly that private property is the foundation not only of prosperity, but of freedom itself. Thus, through the common law, state law, and the Constitution, the founders have protected property rights. The Constitution protects property rights, mainly through the Fifth Amendment. So I need a little more research. I will close in saying great things are about to happen in the redevelopment of the Spencer's property, and I am excited about the potentials. So I ask you to vote for me to continue the development of all of downtown and supporting the millennials and all our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Bruce Springthorpe.
Do I support the redevelopment plan? Absolutely not. It had its beginnings in secrecy and backroom deals. The commission that created it was rammed down the throats of the people of this town despite their overwhelming objections. And that kind of behavior continues. I believe that the last-minute candidates, large campaign contributions, and hardball politics of these commissioner races are a direct result of 3 of our commissioners saying on the May 21st closed session that they were not going to support the plan. So the same group decides that they're going to be absolutely sure that the people that get elected will vote their way. It's their right to do that, but the rest of us should not let money and power determine who will represent us. Incidentally, my opponent was not one of the 3. But because the RDC is not going away, the redevelopment area should be limited to the Spencer's property only. That's what the people of this city were told, and that's what it should be. If the goal of the expanded area is to get rid of the Cootsy's building and put in a traffic circle, which seems to be very, very important to the RDC, that can be done by the city or the state, not the RDC. I could support such eminent domain for that because it's for a public use, a road, as long as it doesn't harm existing businesses and has a reasonable budget. As to the use of the Spencer's building, I believe I've made some good suggestions earlier. Develop it as a social area, make it walk-friendly with nearby parking, include a coffee shop, boutiques, bar, or nightclub, maybe even an indoor climbing wall. Having seen for myself what has been done in other places, the result could be very, very nice.
Thank you. Next, we have Shirley Brinkley.
I was on the board that carefully selected each member of the redevelopment committee. I firmly believe that we could not have made a better choice. I had faith in these volunteers and what they would be able to accomplish. This committee was formed to redevelop the old Spencer Mill area into a vital part of our downtown. Only the property owned by the city was the part of the redevelopment. The plans that I have seen thus far look good, but they extend beyond the boundaries of what the commission was commissioned to do. I firmly believe that only the Spencer property that is owned by the city should be developed first. I have lost faith in the committee. I may be wrong, but I believe that the decisions that they are making has been one-person driven. I believe that the committee has lost their direction. To vote for this draft plan would be a lack of representation for the redevelopment's original plan. I like many of the great ideas and goals already presented for only the Spencer property. My answer to question 4 clarifies my future goals for the Spencer property. Any expansion to our present Reeves Community Center needs to be addressed at this property because it's an asset for the future health of this community if developed thoughtfully and wisely, and expanding the Reeves Community Center hasn't even been considered. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Bill Clark.
I support the redevelopment commission as long as it deals with city property, not private property. I am at odds with the city commissioner. You have 5 unelected officials and 2 commissioners who are elected. The heart of statute is the taxpayer. I believe all 5 commissioners should be on the board. They are spending your tax dollars up in the thousands, if not more. Therefore, everyone should be represented. The Spencer plant will cost untold amount of money. It is old and poorly insulated. A grant may help, but you will have to pay it back with interest. Otherwise, property taxes will go up. We should sell it to the developer and let him renovate it. Thank you.